Okay, we will continue to study from the book of Genesis. We have been doing that in our Bible study, and we will cover some aspects of from the book of Genesis that are related to our life. But I would encourage each one of us to seriously study the book because it is very foundational. Just repeating it, I might have told it many times, but it is foundational. You miss this book, you miss much in understanding of other things. Okay? You understand heaven, hell, you understand sin, redemption, you understand what we uh, will become, by looking at the Garden of Eden and before, what God made us. You can even get a glimpse of the new heaven and new earth by looking at the book of Genesis. What was will be restored, and so on and so forth. You can understand about the second coming of Christ. You know who preached the first message about his second coming? Enoch. He preached at that time. Okay, before the flood he preached that Jesus will be coming, and it's quoted by Jude. So if you think like, many of these things that are there in the Bible, you need to understand, and you need to understand this book. Take time to study. Studying does not happen by reading. What did I say? Studying does not take place when you read. Otherwise, Brother Anish will not have to teach physics. No? You have to study it. If the students could read and know physics, then there would be no one necessary to teach, nor would there be a need for students to try to understand. Okay? These most of the concepts in the Bible are not available offhand in us. Okay? Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. Ask and it will be given. There is a partnership which God has worked into. Things will not come naturally to you. Just read it and you will get all insight. No, you will have to put effort. We put effort for all things in life. Okay, we put effort to study. We put effort to look good before we come on Sunday also. A lot of time we spend in front of the mirror, and we dress ourselves well. We take time to buy clothes. Okay, we take time to study so that we will excel. We search for good jobs. We change if we are not happy with a job. Okay, we want the best. Why should we be shallow when it comes to the things of God? Okay, why should we be shallow? And if at all anyone wants you to become shallow, there is only one person, that is the devil, who wants to reduce you to nothing so that you will be ineffective, unproductive, and insignificant. Okay? All those glorious purposes for which God created you will be lost if He destroys your spiritual life. He knows it. He started at the Garden of Eden, and He continues to do it in your garden, wherever you are, okay, as well. Okay, we'll turn in our Bibles. I may not follow any particular sequence today. Okay, there are some various thoughts that I want to put in our hearts, and whatever is finished in an hour. The rest we will take it up in the Bible study on Tuesday. Okay. One of the primary things that we must understand as far as the book of Genesis is concerned is that you are a created being. Okay? Never forget that. Never forget that. The world around you, whether you see it or you can't see it, the visible and invisible world is also created. Okay? And the Bible tells us that there is a creator behind all that is created, visible or invisible. So, one of the strongest messages in the book of Genesis is that For me, I struggled with understanding, how could God create? I became an atheist, okay? Struggled till God broke through in my life, okay? And it had nothing to do with proofs when He broke through. It had to do with an answer to a prayer, okay? Uh, I won't spend time talking about it, but uh, it is not evidence that takes us to God, but God brings us to Himself directly. Okay. Uh, One thought I want us to remember before we move to other thoughts in the book of Genesis. Okay. Chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Okay. There are two words that I want us to see, the deep and the waters. Okay. Uh, there is a difference. It is not one and the same. Otherwise, Bible will not be using two different words. Okay. The Hebrew word for deep is tehom. Okay. And waters is mine. Okay. There's another word that is used for seas. And you must understand it. Not always the English translations will follow certain rules of translation. Sometimes the influence of the beliefs of the translators also makes an impact on the words they choose when they translate into English, Tamil, Malayalam, Hindi, or whatever language. Okay, so it is good to take a look at those words. Okay. Uh, so when we see the earth being created, the first thing that is told about the earth is that everything was without form, void, empty, and dark, and the deep and the waters were there everywhere. Okay. There was no land. Land comes when? When does land appear? Huh? Which day? Third day. Okay, it is much later that land appears. Okay, so literally you can see that there was only water, deep waters. Okay, the Hebrew word is tehom. Okay, its Greek equivalent or the New Testament equivalent is abyss. Okay, bottomless. Okay, so you can find in the universe a blob of water, dark, unshaped, unformed. Okay, if you really look at the universe, billions and billions of stars, now they have launched that James Webb telescope, very powerful. And just a few weeks back or months back, another telescope, the most high definition photography which can return are there. An astronomer working in that observatory said if you lift your hand to the top, okay, I'm not touching the fan, so safe, up to that, and then the tip of your finger, the area that it covers in what you see in the sky, that area covers 10,000, a minimum of 10 to 20,000 galaxies. Each galaxy has billions of stars. Okay, that's the size of the universe that God created. Okay, and in that whole universe, you try to imagine, what we see as a star in the night, most of them are not stars, they are actually galaxies. What you are seeing is a single dot, but many of them are actually galaxies. With powerful telescopes, now you are able to see much more. And what we can't see today is much more. Okay, science has not answered anything. God has only brought into your knowledge enough for you to know how big He is. Okay, what Roshan said, must have horrified. I saw even his emotions were choking. It's this God who set this universe in motion that we are raising our hand and our finger against. And what we are? Not even a speck of dust on the earth. Not even a speck of dust. If the tip of our finger can cover 10,000 to 20,000 galaxies, what are we? That we raise a fist, that we are proud, that we dishonor God, we scorn, we think like, that those people who crucified him scorned him, abused him, and did. We do worse, knowing who he is. Many of them don't know this creator. We know. And the way we live is an affront to the one who called us, even after he has called us. But the beauty, that last verse that he read. Which verse did he read? Huh? Huh? John 3:16. Even he has forgotten. Somehow everything that all of you were saying in the morning was fitting in with what God was putting in my heart. It's this God who created this big universe. His love. Why should he love? He could have just abolished this universe and started again if he wanted to. He could have dumped it, converted everything into hell, and left it at that. He didn't. John was talking about which passage? You also forgot it. Judges. In Judges, it was that God who was there with whom? Manoah. And Manoah did not know him. Okay. That's why he said, I don't need to eat here. You need to worship me here. God is very clear. There is a response that is required from us. A response which very often we don't think of. Like Manohar tried to give non-veg food to that visitor, little realizing that he is the creator of the universe. We also little realize whom we are dealing with when we pray, when we read his word, when we interact with those whom he has saved and the lost. We don't understand him. It's a tragic thing. We need to be very careful. Okay? Some verses to understand the surface of the deep. The 15th word in the Bible, if anyone wants to know. Proverbs chapter 8, verses 1 to 3. Yeah, you can avoid that and read from verse 22 onward. Someone read it loudly. I'll tell you when to stop.
The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I have been established from everlasting, from the beginning, before there was ever an earth.
Okay, who is this? What is it being talked of? It is about wisdom. Okay, these passages are related to wisdom. Okay, then go on.
When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills, I was brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth or the fields, or the primal dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters would not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth. When I was beside him as a master craftsman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him.
Okay, we'll just end with that. When he established the clouds above and fixed securely the fountains of the deep. You know, the same word tehom is there, which is there in Genesis 1, 2. Okay. So first, God brought into control that uneasy sea. Okay. The deep waters which were there. Okay. He commanded and the land appeared. That is what this particular says. When he gave the sea its boundaries so the waters would not overstep his command. Okay. In Jewish thought, in biblical thought, these waters, the deep, wherever the word tehom is used, talks about something not just the normal waters. You know, it talks about something which is unknown, vast, deep, bottomless. Okay. That is why in the New Testament, the same equivalent word abyss is there. Okay. Bottomless pit is also from the abyss. Okay. There are creatures in Revelation, demons which come out from there, from the abyss. The pigs into which Jesus sent the demons at Gadara did not want to be sent to abyss, but finally they would fall into the sea, to the very place they were referring to. The sea is not the same as abyss, but there is a realm that we must understand. Intersecting our earth, you know, the physical dimension that we can see, length, breadth, height, there is a supernatural or a spiritual dimension as well, in which our physical world is a replica or things in which we are moving. You understand? For instance, we will not be able to understand everything. For instance, an amoeba. Amoeba kaisa rehta hai? It is flat. Okay. You can say it is a two-dimensional thing. It doesn't have a height. Okay. So it cannot, when an amoeba sees you, it cannot perceive you because you have height. Okay. So this paper is a two-dimensional thing. If I put my hand through the paper, what will happen? The amoeba, if it is there on the paper, it will see a dot as my finger touches. It will become big, wide circle. Okay, then when I pull it out, it will go in the reverse order. It cannot understand what a hand is. Okay. In the same way, there is a realm in which we are there. Okay. The spiritual realm, the unseen realm, which is also there in and around us. Okay. Job 38. Verse 16 onwards. Roshan, you can read it.
Have you entered the springs of the sea, or have you walked in search of the depths?
Okay, the depths, the deep, tehom. Okay,
Have the gates of the depths been revealed to you?
have the gates of death been shown to you or revealed to you? Gates of death, this is Sheol. Okay, Sheol is the abode of the death, the place where the spirits of the departed they go. Okay, have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Okay, the Bible talks of realms that are not physically seen by us. Okay, Hades has gates, and God is telling Job, you cannot see it. Have you seen it? You cannot understand it as well. Okay, Just like the amoeba can't understand us, there are many things we can't understand. Okay? We cannot understand that realm in which we pass on in the afterlife as well. Okay? Can you contain spirits? Can you put them in prison? Only he says no, all others are no. Okay. Jesus also, after his resurrection, came in through a locked door. Okay. So when God created, what is God? See, it is after a lot of pain and suffering in Job's life. Okay. His friends mock him, question his belief and faith in God. Finally, he crumbles and then asks questions to God. And then God tells him, who are you to ask me? Literally. Okay. We cannot think of a prison for spirits because in our dimension, we cannot create anything which will contain a spirit. You can make prisons and keep prisoners, human beings, animals, you can put them in zoo. I can make a fish tank. John made one. Okay. And you can put fish inside that, contained in that. Okay. But we cannot contain spirits. God actually made prisons for spirits in that realm. So that is what God is asking. Have the gates of death or Sheol been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the deepest darkness, the abyss? Okay. We cannot see it. We cannot comprehend. But there was an unseen world which was created. Nothing was created evil, but part of it was used as prisons, even for spirits, even for angels. Okay, in Peter, you will find spirits in prison in Tartarus. Okay, that's a place where they were, even angelic beings are kept tied up. We cannot design anything to tie up an angelic being, but God can. He does, and He has them contained. Okay, so I just want us to know that this is the God that the Bible is talking about. Okay, we have seen about God creating mankind in the Bible study. We saw that man was created and put in a garden. We saw the garden was at an elevated place. Okay, because from Eden, garden was in Eden, and from Eden flowed a river which came to the garden. After it reached the garden, it divided into 4 rivers. Okay, and water flows from altitude down. So Eden, by inference, was at an altitude. Okay, then we made a mention that all these high places that we see, go to any hill, you will find a temple. Okay, people had visitations of God on in high places. Okay, I'm not talking of God visiting every human being like that in a temple. I'm not by inference. Abraham did meet God on Mount Moriah. There were many encounters. God made Israelites build a temple in Jerusalem, which was on a hill. Okay. When post tribulation, before the millennium, if you read the book of Zechariah, you will find that there is a land upheaval. Okay. And there are earthquakes, and the land is pushed up, and Jerusalem becomes the tallest place on the earth. And who will rule from there? The Messiah himself, Jesus Christ himself. Okay. God was meeting man in Genesis and in the millennium, and was meeting. The false gods also meet their disciples or their devotees on mountaintops. That is why you find so many temples and other things, even many churches they build at the top. Okay, it won't draw you any nearer to God. Okay, the Samaritan woman, what she said? You people worship on Jerusalem, O hill. We worship where? Mount Gerizim. Because the Samaritans don't recognize the Jews and the Jews don't recognize them. Which one is better? She was asking. And the Lord said, a day will come when neither on this mountain nor anywhere, but people will be meeting me in spirit and in truth. Okay, we are in those days. We don't need to go to any mountain to meet God. He meets us where we are. Okay. We had seen that. Then we saw that God had created man, body, soul, and spirit. Body, soul, and spirit. Body, which has five senses. Which are the five senses? Loudly. Loudly. Higher? Yeah. Tell. Taste, then feel. You can touch. See. Hear. Smell. Okay. So with the body, you are able to sense your environment. God has put sensors in you by which you perceive what is around you in this physical world. What is your soul? What is your soul? What is your mind? Hmm? Huh? Conscious.
सॉल्स को ब्रदर हम टच नहीं कर सकते लेकिन हम फील कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, ब्रदर राजू इज टेलिंग सोल को टच नहीं कर सकते लेकिन फील कर सकते हैं. कैसा फील करता है राजू भाई? In some way you are
हम सॉफ्ट
okay. There are some
जैसे कि
a dimension of us humans which is not physical alone. I have a body, but I am different from this lump of flesh or that lump of flesh. Okay, I behave differently. I have emotions, intellect, will of my own. That is my persona. Okay, this lump of flesh, it loves you or hates you, you can make out. You can feel it in your heart. The Bible uses the word heart and other things to describe in physical terms what is inside of you. Okay? Children can perceive love. We can perceive God's love. Not by sensing, touching it, but you can feel it in your heart. Because of other things which He has done. You can know Him. You can feel Him. Okay? How your body and your persona is connected, scientists have tried to research often. They have not found a solution. Okay? Many people have done PhDs also in psychology, psychiatry, and in many other medical sciences, neurosciences, and other things. People cannot know. Okay? What we know is that there are neurons, and these neurons, talk to each other or they communicate with each other. And when we see something, an image is formed by, neurons connecting to each other. Okay. So you can recall something. You can recall how it felt. You can recall by looking at an iron when it is hot. If you touch, how it will be. By looking at it also, okay, because neurons are forming. Okay. So many people thought that, brain is important. It's a vital part of that process of understanding who you are on the inside. But human beings, as created by God, are impressive beyond words. No doctor has understood us. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that may actually shock you a little bit, hopefully. Okay. So when Einstein died, they asked permission to examine his brain. They found that his brain is slightly smaller than that of average humans. You know that? So some people have big forehead, small forehead. उन लोग को लगता है ना ये बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है वो आँख बड़ा है तो इंटेलिजेंट है all wrong. Okay, I'm going to tell you something which will even I hope I can find it where I wrote. Not able to locate it. Oh, I think it's here outside. I removed it. Okay. 2007 Lancet. This is a science journal. Okay, in which papers are published. Okay, sister also works in some kind of publishing, not in Lancet. No? You have written and published in that? No. Okay. So she does that type of work. Okay, where people who research, they present a paper, then there are peers, people of capability similar to what you have researched on, review it, and when they certify it, it gets published. So when the magazines are or these journals are more and more famous, the level of peer review will be at that higher level. Okay. So if Einstein publishes, they will not send it to Leslie to review. Kuch samjhega hi nahi usko. They will have to send it to someone of his capability. So there is a doctor, Axel Clearman, who is a cognitive psychologist, okay, who reported a case in Lancet in 2007, not very far from where we are. Okay, a case was reported to him about a man who complained about feeling weakness in the leg. You heard of that? Many times people tell me, क्या है मालूम नहीं I am feeling weak, I am feeling kamjor. Okay, one patient came. We also tell sometimes like that, and the doctor looks at us and he can't. वो सब टेस्ट करेगा, CBC ये वो सब, and then बोलेगा अच्छा खर्चा किया आपने. He kept so many other families alive, but I can't make out what it is. He will prescribe some vitamins, tonics, and other things for you. Okay, so this one man came to him. He was about 40 years of age. He was actually 44. This is in France. Okay, and he came with this complaint. So he had a previous problem in his childhood. So when the doctor looked through his papers, he found that he had what is called as hydrocephalus. Anyone knows what is hydrocephalus? Hydro means what? Water. We have a nurse, or two nurses, all sitting one behind the other. Okay, cephalus, head. Okay. So hydrocephalus means what? Water in the head. Okay, this is a sickness, a problem. Very often, water accumulates inside the skull. It squeezes and puts pressure on the brain, and the person has a lot of problems. But this guy was living a normal life. They had fitted a drain pipe in his childhood and to remove the fluids, drain out the fluids. But now he was facing some small problems. So when this doctor decided to get his brain checked, okay, they use MRIs and CT scans to do some of these things. So when he did that, he found he had only about 10% brain. I'm not joking. His brain was hollow. It was only on the inside of the skull, there was a thin layer of brain tissue. The rest had been squeezed out by the water. He was functioning normally. No heart problem, no nothing. No cognitive recognition, memory issues, learning abilities, nothing was discussed. So don't look at anyone and say Buddhu. There is no Buddhu on earth. There is no dumb person on earth. Everyone is created in the image of God. We understand what we need to say is we understand very little about ourselves. What we do is when a scientist, he's actually, the Bible calls him a fool who has said in his heart there is no God. Most of those people who are giving you tidbits of information for living are giving you information that arises from a heart that has been declared a fool by God. You understand? And we think of them as experts. If they say it should be so. So people abort babies. Why? Because the doctor told you should abort. People terminate the lives of elderly people. I saw yesterday one video in which a young couple in Ayodhya have taken their mother in the night and left her, abandoned her, and disappeared. They covered her like a dead body, no? Face included, and went off. We don't realize that people are made in the image of God. Okay? Everyone is a living person who has within him the ability to return God's love. It is God who loves, we don't. We are all people like that, evil, wicked, going our own way, straying from God. Okay? But God is not like that. Okay? And people can understand. And the spirit is the third part of our body which connects with God's spirit, connects with God. It was that inner connection with the realm of God. This is there in humans. God breathed into the word for breath, spirit are all same, both in the New Testament and in the Old. Okay? In Greek, when it says pneuma, it can mean wind, it can mean human spirit, it can mean God's spirit. When the word holy is associated, it is God's spirit. Or by the context only you can make out the word itself is same. Okay? There is a perception. Okay? We will not go into more details about this, but the Bible talks a lot about post salvation, what happens, the renewal that God brings about inside, okay, and outside. God works on us, okay. So man has a material part, that is his body, and a non-material part, his soul, and spirit. Can you hide from God? The spirits are hidden from us. We cannot see, isn't it? But even a human spirit is seen by God. Nothing is hidden. Okay, we'll turn in our Bibles to Psalm. Remember which passage? 139. Very good. We'll try to understand this passage. A psalm that David himself has written. Okay. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. What was that name which God gave? Manoah? Wonderful. Did we all speak by chance today? God has a miraculous, even the Bible is written by so many authors. one chain of thought because the author is one. In the same way, when we sit and prepare at home, God connects the dots. He has a message for us. Okay. So here the psalmist, or in particular David. David is a king. Educated man? No. He was a shepherd. We look at shepherds. We look at the housemaid in our house. We look at the barber. We look at different people and we look down on them. Don't look down on them. They are made in the image of God. Everyone has the potential to do something tremendous in the presence of God. Okay? But David is talking about his limitations as far as, what he is and what God is in this, his understanding. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. God can search, he can scan. When in our laptop, when we want an antivirus scan, we just press a button and it scans us. God is constantly scanning us. Not just us, but every person, every creature. He knows what is happening where. If you got bitten by a dog, he already knew what the dog was going to do. Okay, he scans us. And we cannot, but he can. And he can know because he is omniscient. Okay. And you know me, the word that David is telling is that God knows even more than I know myself. I don't know how I act or react, but he knows. You know when I sit and when I rise, you perceive my thoughts from afar. When we are sitting here, I can't make out what you're thinking. What's on your mind? Whether you're thinking about your work, your home, your homework, or about someone else, other human being. I don't know. But remember, there is a person who knows. He knows. He can see what you cannot see. Okay? You discern my going out and my lying down. You're familiar with all my ways. There is only one person in the universe who is familiar with us. Even your daddy, mummy, your daughter, son, wife, husband, nobody knows you the way he knows. You are familiar to him. He knows what's in your heart. Okay? He knows the intentions of your heart very well. Before a word is on my tongue, that means even when I'm processing it in my head, he knows which way your muscles in the tongue will move and what words will be delivered. You hem me in behind and before. You are surrounded by him. There is nothing that you can do which he does not know you. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. God called himself to Manoah, I am wonderful. Okay. So when he created this world, when he created you, he created a wonder. You are a masterpiece. Okay. Don't look down on yourself. We have evolutionary thoughts, even if we don't have an evolution belief. Our thoughts are still processed by that light which came. We are not bad in that sense in which the scientists are putting. We are actually a wonderful masterpiece. And the Creator knows us. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? Okay. When Adam and Eve sinned, what they did? They tried to hide. Did they ask this question in their heart also? No, they thought they can hide behind a tree, bushes. If I go to the heavens, you're there. If I make my bed in the depths, this is Sheol. Huh? Okay, so that is why I said when you have to read, it's okay. When you have to study, then you may have to even look at what those words originally were. This is not Tehom. Okay? This is not the abyss, but it is talking of Sheol. the abode of the dead. If I am there, also you are there. If I rise on the wings of dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. As a child, I always put my hand in my father's hand. He caught it. I felt safe. I felt secure. Okay, just being held because he was strong. Okay, and in my mind, I couldn't deal with many things safely, but he could. He could safely take me across the road, which I could not do. Okay, and so here David says, even there your hand will guide me. It is God who will be holding you and guiding you in life. He will hold your hands where you are. Okay, we don't feel him, no? That's a tragic thing because we don't really want to be as close with him as he desires to be with us. If I say darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even darkness is not dark enough for you. Night will shine like a day. Okay, then he goes on to say, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that fully well. Okay, so God created you in including your inmost being. What kind of a person you will be, what you will like. You are programmed by God in a sense. And a unique piece. Each individual is unique in the eyes of God. This is one part of creation which has not ended in those 7 days. Did you know? Every time a child is born, conceived, the hand of God has created a new soul. Okay? And given him or her a new body, a body to dwell in. Okay? I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that fully well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Okay? Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book. Okay? When God sees you, he can see you end to end. What you were, what you are, what you will be, because he is outside of time. Okay? Genesis 1:1, God created time, space, and matter. Is God part of it? He is outside of it. Nobody else is outside of it. He is. Okay? He is within each one of us as well. He pervades us. Okay? There is nothing in this universe in which he does not fill. Okay? God fills everything in the universe. Okay? But he is distinct and different. The biggest sin, one of the bigger lies which the devil has portrayed, which is there in many of the beliefs of people, is that one day we will become one with God. We will never become God. We will never become one with Him in that sense of an essence with Him. We cannot. Okay? We cannot progressively become better and better so that one day we merge in that eternal God. We won't. He is distinct. We are creatures created by Him. We will never be what He is. We will be distinct and different. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Okay? So if God were to write the book the day Roshan was born, that book would have contained everything up to his death. Not because God makes him sin or do anything, but because God knows, because God is outside of time. He can see everything. Okay? He can see what you will do with his extended hand. He can see everything about you. Okay, how you will respond to his loving calls, what you will do about sin in your life, whether you will ignore, whether you will do your own things, everything he knows. That is why on the day of judgment, when the books are opened, the books of records, people say, and the book of life, but the books of records, David says, might as well have been written at the before you acted it. Why? Because God knows everything. He's outside of time. Okay. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of it. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I wake, I am still with you. Okay. We will end with that. Just each one of us can be amazed at what God created. We have very little self-worth. And we always think, if I was like this, like that, if I had money, nothing can add glory to you. The way God created you, He created a masterpiece. Too wonderful to comprehend. The shirt, Van Hussein shirt, will not make you more honorable. Buying a house in Bombay's Malabar Hill area, where the toilet costs more than the house that we live in. Okay, that it will not add value to you. No university can add value to you. No teacher can give an input in your life more than the input that he has already put in you and is putting in you and will put in you. When you treat this amazing God as nothing, when you look with greedy eyes like Lot, no? He looked and he saw the most prosperous thing and walked that way. In life, we are always like that. We look at things, we don't look at God. We look at other things and we walk in that direction. Abraham remained where he was. He told Lot to make the choice. And then God told him, look left, right, east, west, north, south. Everything that you can see is yours after Lot made his choice. Okay. What he can give, no human being can give, nor can they take it away from you. Okay. One of the biggest things that God taught me was promotion comes from the Lord. Increments, promotions, wealth, everything comes from the Lord. You have to have only the horses, I don't know what they call it, so that you are able to only look at God. Go Godward. Okay, live according to his pleasure and everything will be added. Daniel was snatched from his house, isn't it? As a 13-year-old. But he lived for God. No parents, no one to teach him after that. But they lived, walked. Did he think like, abhi to acha opportunity in this palace, like, I toe the line of the Pharaoh, then I'll get promotions. I'll become the prime minister. No. He did what was required to be done, and step by step, God took him to the goal which even he didn't dream of. Same thing happened to Joseph. Same thing happened to Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Same thing happened to Peter, a fisherman who became fishers of men. Today, you don't read much about any of the pharaohs. It is questionable, no? When you have to know about what any pharaoh did, the big pyramid also, no one knows exactly who did it, why they did it, how they did it. Kuch bhi malum nahi. But about Peter, you know everything about him because God wrote it in His Word. Okay, know God, and you will be known by God. Okay, so we will end with a word of prayer. Request Elangovan to lead us in prayer.